Hi, welcome to Pilates with Nicole. This is a short, little less than 30-minute class focused on breath and connecting movement to breath, connecting your core to your movement as well. I make this class specific for folks who are recovering from COVID, so we're going to move slow, but if any cues that I'm giving on breathing or breath is not working for you, if it's too fast or too slow, please make it work for you. The most important part is that you keep breathing while you move. So for today's class, you'll need not a dog, but you will need like a bolster, something that's about hand palm width is a good place to go. You can use a cushion. I use like a big beach towel. You can use a blanket, whatever works. About at least the width of your sort of rib cage and hips is a good place to go because we're going to be laying on it. So Z, if you don't mind, scooch, thank you. You're going to place this towel kind of at the top part of your mat. Yeah, she can hang out there. And I'll move down a little bit. So you're going to lean back onto it with your, basically the part of your spine that has the sternum right above it. So your heart and your lungs are on this bolster. If it feels like, whoa, too archy, you can always have it up a little higher, okay? Options for your arms, you can have your hands behind your head to help your neck out. I don't love that on my shoulders, so I'm gonna have my arms out to the side. That feels like too much of a stretch. Arms down by your side will make it a little less intense, but it might feel intense if you have been sitting over a computer or a phone or laying down a lot. This is a big opening for the chest. So take a moment to settle in. Let your breath just be what it needs to be in this position. We're opening up chest muscles here, so your pecs. We're also opening up and lengthening the diaphragm, your really important breathing muscle, and even the muscles between your ribs. They're really necessary for breathing. They help your ribs expand, which sucks air in, and they help also your ribs close around your lungs, which expels air. So opening up like this is nice, hopefully. Again, if this feels like too much, if you're a little kyphotic in your upper back, you might do this without the towel and just laying on your back on a flat, harder surface than your bed or couch is going to open up your chest. The biggest version of this stretch, if you're starting to loosen up and you want more, is to stretch your legs out long and reach your arms up and back. Wherever you land here, we're going to take 2 or 3 more breaths. And I just want you to feel the expansion of your whole body with breath. You might already feel your abdominals kind of engaging or toning in and up. So wherever you're at, bring your knees back to a bent position, your feet back to the floor, your hands behind your head. If your elbows need to come up to make that comfortable, that's totally fine by me. And then you're going to wiggle yourself down so that you feel the towel or the bolster is definitely right behind your shoulder blades, maybe just a little bit below. From there, you're going to lift your head up, kind of cradling it with your hands, and then start to curl yourself forward and up. And just find here a moment your curl up. Hopefully this towel is acting like a little bit of a fulcrum. You can use it to curl up so your neck isn't really working hard at all. Lean back maybe halfway, maybe all the way, and then curl up again. So I don't want to give you a specific breath. I exhale when I curl up so I can focus on closing the ribs and engaging my abs. If that feels really off to you, go ahead and inhale as you lift. I don't care, as long as you're not holding your breath. That's the most important part. If this feels uncomfortable in your lower back or anywhere in your back, try moving where you are up or down on the bolster, okay? Make it work for you. We're gonna do a couple more. Again, I might be going a lot faster than you wanna go or slower. Curl up and see if you can hold. Whatever part of your body is touching the bottommost part of your bolster, for me, it's like my middle ribs. I'm gonna try to press those middle ribs into the towel more. That lifts me up even more. That makes me engage my upper abs even more, holy moly. And then I'm just gonna stay here and breathe. My head is leaning into my hands. I don't need to lean forward with my neck. I'm pressing with my ribs, feeling my belly engage. My head doesn't need to do anything. Last one. And then lean back and then roll off to the side of your bolster. It doesn't have to be pretty. You can just roll off, grab it, push it away from you so that you're laying down now on your flat back. Your feet are still flat on the floor. The arms are down by your side this time. Now I'm going to get a little bit more specific about breath and movement. On an exhale, you're going to flatten your lower back on the mat or tuck your tailbone up a little. And then inhale, you're going to press your tailbone into the mat and arch your lower back. Exhale to flatten, feel a scooping of your belly. Inhale to tilt forward. Exhale to scoop. Inhale to tilt forward. Exhale to scoop. Again, if I'm going too fast, inhale to tilt forward. Please go at your own time. The scooping means your abs are connecting in, they're going down, as opposed to bunching up at the top of your belly. Inhale. You might feel work either way, whether you're bunching them or scooping, but we want that scooping because that means you're hugging your spine, you're supporting your spine, as opposed to the bunching kind of pulls the muscles away from your back, which isn't great. So you're rocking your hips. Can you rock your chin and nose less or not at all? So I was really moving my head before. I'm going to now focus on keeping my chin still, my nose still, and just moving the lower part of my spine. That changes things. All of a sudden, I'm feeling a little more connected to my upper abs. I can't move quite as far in either direction. That's fine. You can always change the range of motion. Last one, last round, even yourself out. And then find your neutral pelvis. Neutral is when you're neither tucking your tailbone up and pressing your lower back, but you're not exaggerating the arch. If you think about it as your pubic bone and your hip bones being on the same plane, that's usually useful. So you have just that little natural curve of your lower back. So from there, you're going to press your arms into the floor, pull your abs in, find that scooping, no tucking this time, you're neutral. Lift, bring your legs together also probably. Lift one leg up to tabletop without moving anything else in your body, lower the leg down. For breath, I exhale to lift. I'm going to lift up my other leg. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift the other leg up. And inhale to lower. Now the challenge here is to not move your hips at all, to keep them totally still. Okay? They don't have to shift at all. But what that means is your abs and even your tush and your hamstrings are working really hard to stabilize your hips so they don't rock left to right when you switch. So for me, this feels like I'm really corseting my abdominal muscles, like, or wearing one of those weightlifter belts that really wraps the waist around to keep your back and your hips still as you move your legs. We're gonna add the arms in next for a little dead bug. So I'm gonna lift my left leg up to tabletop and take my right hand to the inside of my left knee. From here, press your knee into your hand and your hand into your knee, just enough so that you feel your belly engage again, that corseting or wrapping of your abdominal muscles. Lift your free arm up and your free leg up to tabletop. So here's the challenge. You're going to stretch your arm and leg away from each other. Keep pressing your other hand and knee in, and then come in. Your back stays still. So everything from your pelvis to your chin and your nose stays still. And your belly stays scooping in, right? Not bunching out. Now, if you're up for the challenge, you could go way far away. Stretch your arm and leg within an inch of the mat. Or maybe today you're moving just a few inches away from your center. That's that range of motion again. What is going to serve you the most? Where you can still breathe, still keep your abs. We're going to do just a few more. Last one. Hug your knees into your chest. Here you can let your pelvis do whatever it kind of wants to do. I'm drawing some circles here with my knees. And then we're going to switch. So my right leg is coming to tabletop. My left hand is going to the inside of my knee. I'm giving it a little pressure, really just to wake up this. Reach your free arm up, your free leg to tabletop, and then stretch the arm and leg away. Kind of discover this. How far can I go on this side? And breathe. Can you breathe and keep your abdominals engaged? That's a challenge. Especially if you have done a lot of breath work or singing work where your goal is to release the belly when you're breathing. This will feel a little different. Couple more. Whew. And again, hug the knees in. Do what you got to do. Another thing we can do to release the hip flexors if they got a little tight is place your feet down on the mat and separate them a little wider than your hips. So you should see your heels there. Open the arms out and just rock your hips left to right. Nice and slow to start, so you can really, as you press the knee down, you get a stretch in that top quad and hip. All righty, so now you're going to grab that bolster. This time you're going to take it, you're going to lift your hips up into a little bridge, just enough so that you can slide that bolster under your tush. Make sure you feel even on it. Mine feels like a little lopsided, so I'm trying to get nice and even here so that your pelvis in neutral, it'll be a little tucked to be honest, right? Because your hips are higher now, but close to neutral is resting on the bolster. Arms down by your side, pull your abs in just like you did when we did your little marching one leg at a time exercise. Press the arms down, feel your collarbone wide, lift one leg up to tabletop, lift the other leg up. This should feel manageable because your hips are raised above your shoulders a bit. Heels together, toes apart, like you're making just a little V shape. You don't have to be turned out like a ballerina. Stretch your legs out to a high diagonal and bend them back in. So your abs really need to work to keep your hips from doing that rocking that we did in the very beginning, right? You want to keep your pelvis stable, no tipping, no tucking, nice and stable for 3. Keep breathing. 4. I'm going to do 4 more. It's up to you how many you do, of course. If it's feeling really challenging, you can go higher. The higher you go, the less challenging it's going to be on your core or your hips. If you want more of a challenge, go lower with those legs. Ooh, that's hard. So that's how you play with range of motion here. Bring your knees and toes together. Stretch just one leg out and then switch the legs. Now, keep your hips straight still. Keep them nice and stable, even though your legs are doing opposite things. Abs are still scooping. I'm going a little fast. Frankly, it's a little easier to not go super slow. 2 more. As long as you keep your stability, you're good. Bring the knees in. Let that pelvis tuck. The lower back is stretching down towards the mat. Bring your legs back to tabletop. The lower back lifts to that neutral position. And if you're ready for it, you're going to stretch your legs up to the sky. If you can't get them totally to straight, that's fine. Keep them a little bent. But it's important that you feel your abs engage. Your chin and nose have stayed still. They haven't like tucked into a funny position. So everything is still long. And you're going to lower one leg and kick the other leg towards you a little more for your scissors. Now, if you want, you could totally grab your leg and give it a little help here. But I'm most interested, and like that might be, you might want that hamstring stretch, but I'm most interested in your keeping your pelvis still while you breathe. Those 2 points of attention. We'll get a nice stretch in a moment, I promise. Bring the knees in. Whew. So check in on yourself. How are you feeling? Do you need to slow down? Do you need to take a break? Either way, we're all going to take a break. Hug your right knee and stretch your left leg long. Really reach the foot away from you. Hopefully you're feeling a stretch in the front of your left hip here. And just hang out here for a moment. Switch legs. Left knee is now hugging in. Now you're getting a stretch in the front of the right hip. Okay, so now we're going to get that hamstring stretch. So feet flat on the floor. Grab the back of your right thigh. Straighten and bend your knee. That was the dog. Oh, Z. I think she thinks someone's coming. Stretch your leg out and hold. Circle your ankle around. Can you do this without bending your knee at all? Z-bones, relax. Reverse your circle. So you made some nice circles with your ankle. And you're pressing your leg towards you. So now maybe you stretch your left leg long. Hey, hon, relax, relax. And then Z, sit, relax. And then hug it in. Switch. Hug your left, poor thing. Straighten and bend your left knee. So as many times as feels right to you, right? And you try to get your leg to straight and then you circle your foot. So even if you can't get your knee to straight, it's really tight, you can keep it bent, but try not to bend it anymore as you circle your foot. Having that control, starting to think of, being able to isolate, I'm moving my foot and I don't need to move my knee right now, and having that control can really start to build that mind-body connection, that idea that your brain can tell your body what to do. It's not its own thing, it is connected. Okay, feet are down. We stretch out the hamstrings because we're about to work them. So lift your hips up, roll your hips down when you take that towel out from under your tush, and whatever bolster you're using, you're going to place it between your inner thighs. So with your feet flat, arms down by your side, you're going to give that bolster, whatever you're using, a little hug with your inner thighs and feel your lower abs scoop. Release the squeeze and then squeeze again. It's It's not a big movement, obviously. You can see it's like barely visible, and release. But you need to place your hands on your lower belly to feel it. I want you to squeeze your towel, whatever you're using, and feel your lower abs engage a little bit and release. Exhaling is always a great way to tap into your abdominals. Excuse me, if you're having trouble finding them. Because you use your abs to exhale and they help in that part of your breath cycle. All right, so now you're going to exhale, hug your bolster, tuck your pelvis, there's that tailbone going up, and begin to lift your hips up into a bridge. Feel it out, doesn't have to be giant, and then roll your spine down. Tuck and lift, and lower. Here's my challenge. Can you keep your chin and nose still when you lift up into your bridge? A lot of times we tuck like this. You don't need to. Keep your breath flowing. Just one more of these, or maybe you're going to do a couple more. It's up to you. But lower down. Get rid of that bolster and roll over onto your side. Push yourself up to seated. We're going to do a little bit of half roll downs now. So with your feet flat on the floor, if your feet get crampy and can't make this shape, you can flex them, but try to have the feet reaching long through the tops here. Grab onto the back of your thighs and sit up as tall as you can. If this is impossible, sit on your bolster to give yourself a little more length. It'll release your hips a bit more. You won't go as far back if you're on the bolster. But if you're here, I'll stay up here for a moment. You're going to exhale, round your spine. There's that tuck again that we started with. And round back until your elbows are straight. And then round forward before stacking your spine up to tall. So you could exhale, scoop your belly back. Remember, don't bunch the belly. And then round. This is abs, but it's also a stretch for your back. Exhale, scoop those abdominals. And then round. Those abs are still scooping. Basically, they're always scooping. It's the key. And a couple more. I'm going to do a few without the bolster. Because if you want, you could go as far as you want, where you keep your feet on the floor. They're not floating up. And you feel in control that you can round up at the same speed and control as you rounded backwards. I'm going too fast. Please go slower. And everybody's half roll down is going to look a little different. The main things is that you're using your abdominals, you're rounding your back, and your shoulders are away from the ears. They don't need to round, okay? A lot of times we think round back and we go like this with our shoulders. Let's keep them down. Let's give the neck a rest. Now you're sitting up tall. Stick your legs out in front of you. Again, you might still be on that bolster, and that's fine. Open the arms out to the side. You're going to twist. If you're like me, you don't have a lot of room, you can touch your shoulders with your fingers, okay? You're going to twist to one side and try not to move your feet at all. And then twist to the other side. Don't move your feet. Twist from your waist. So now you're using your obliques. Let's add the stretch. So you twist to the right, reach your left arm for your right foot, and your right arm reaches back. Then you come up and you twist to the other side. So your hands are either on your shoulders or they're out to the sides. You can do it both ways, right? Hands to shoulders is also a good modification if you have a shoulder injury and you don't want to over twist it. Are you still breathing? Last one, each side. And then when you're done, we're going to end with a little bit of back bending. So we did some twisting, we did forward folding. Now we got to do our back bending. So hands are going to come not right next to your shoulders like a baby cobra in yoga. They could be out a little wider if that feels better, but have your legs quite close to each other. Really walk them in. And then from here, like take a moment to relax. Sometimes when we lay down on our belly, our back and our hips are still working. And then try to lift your belly off the floor. Even if it's still technically touching the floor like mine is, I'm trying to lift it up. It's active. It's not like, oh, resting totally. All right, my abs are lifted. My hands come by my sides here. Forehead on the floor. Reach your tailbone towards your feet. There's a lot of setup for this back bend, because then I want you to be able to press into the floor a little bit with your hands and feel your back muscles engage as you lift up some amount and then lower down. So you're trying to keep the belly off of the mat and breathe and find those big back muscles, the ones that we laid on at the very beginning of class. We're sort of, actually, it's kind of a bookend, right? We're ending in the same position we started in, but flipped over. All right, so you're opening up the chest again. You're finding breath. You might be lifting up higher now. You might not be. And up. I'm going really fast again, basically, so you can take a look at any point and kind of check in on what I'm doing and then go back to your own pace. And then finish off whichever swan you're on. Take a moment here to rest. You can let the belly flop down onto the mat. And you can breathe big into your back. So that part right here that we were working just now, breathe into it. Because you are all done. And you can hang out here, take some time. When you come up, you can also sit back into your child's pose and take some time there. And then carefully get up, take your time so that you don't get dizzy. And that is all. So thank you for joining me and Z, who was a little whiny today. And I hope that you enjoyed this class. I've made all the other classes, what's it called? Public. So you can check them out and see them if you like these. You can do more, kind of all similar vibe, similar stuff, just slightly different each class. Okay, bye-bye.